Our record. There we go. All right. So please keep your microphone muted for the duration of the presentation. Please hold your questions until the breakout room session with your leader. So at the end of this presentation, you'll all go out into breakout rooms. At that point in time, you can unmute your mics and turn on your camera with your leader and ask some questions. But for now, you can hold on tight, stay on mute, and listen in. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Kiana Louis Charles. I'm the volunteer manager. Joining me from volunteer service today are Hannah Steeds, Jameen Ackert, and Jason Galloway. Our mission, the Ottawa Bluesfest is a nonprofit charitable organization. Our mission is to present a world-class music festival featuring international, Canadian, and local artists in downtown Ottawa each July. We are youth-friendly, community and visitor-focused, culturally diverse, and committed to sustainability and eco-friendly initiatives. All right, to get started, I just want to go over some key points of our code of conduct and harassment policy. The first one here is to attend all of your scheduled shifts. You can take a look at all of your shifts on Bloomerang, and we ask that you attend each and every single one. If for some reason you're unable to attend a scheduled shift, please reach out to your leader as soon as you know to let them know that you will be away and so that they can replace that shift with you. Please be kind and respectful to all people on site. That includes patrons, staff, volunteers, anyone you may see walking by. There is no drinking / using cannabis or other intoxicants at any point before or during your volunteer shift. Please read all of the policies, including the code of conduct and harassment policy, and follow them at all times while on site. These can be found on the volunteers website, on the volunteer website's resource page and on your volunteer registration form. We'll look at the resource page a little later, but there's lots of things on there like our hours of operation, the code of conduct. You'll have some details about the parental permission form and much more. So take a look at that page. Now, the fun stuff, some perks of being a volunteer. So, as a volunteer, all of you will get a free RFID wristband for the festival and your very own volunteer t-shirt. Volunteer Village with a welcome center and snacks and a special theme, including some games and food trucks. The Volunteer Village is located on Volunteer Island. We'll show that all on a map, but there you'll have volunteer check-in and the welcome center. At the Welcome Center, you'll find a bag check. So volunteers all have a dedicated bag check, so you can leave all of your stuff there for the night. You'll also receive at volunteer check-in a meal token for a free vendor meal or a sandwich from the Welcome Center for each one of your shifts. A note for all of you, there's bike park and free OC Transpo access. So think about how you're going to be getting to the festival. All right, our Ottawa Blues Fest volunteer top 10. Number one, know what you signed up for. On our website, we have job descriptions and we also have accessibility information. And you can also take a look at your Bloomerang. There could be some extra information from your leader and from us on your Bloomerang account and on your shifts schedule. So please take a look around to understand what you signed up for. When you go through the job descriptions and the accessibility forms and all of that, it's better for you to understand what is required of you and what we are expecting of you and what you expect of us as well. Number two, adhere to the policies about drugs and alcohol. Number three, respect patrons, artists, fellow volunteers, and anyone else you may encounter on site. Number four, please notify your area leader as soon as you know if you cannot attend one of your shifts. Number five, be reliable. On site, at the festival, things can change pretty quickly sometimes, especially if there is a weather emergency that may occur. So keep an eye out on your cell phone. You may get a text, an email, or even in front of you, your leaders may be communicating some information to you. Number six, report to your area leader or supervisor at the beginning of each shift. So we'll go through the map a little later on, and you'll see kind of the journey of a volunteer's path, especially on your first few days, getting to know the site and getting to know us. So you'll start at volunteer check-in, and once you get checked in at volunteer check-in, you'll then make your way over to your team. You'll have a meeting spot, and when you get to your meeting spot, it's important to check in with your area leader or supervisor when you get there. Your leaders may have a paper signing sign-in sheet that's different from volunteer check-in, or they just want to see you to make sure that you ended up at the right spot. So definitely make sure before every shift to check in with either a supervisor or your area leader. Number 7, use technology appropriately. Number 8, be present. Number 9, respect the privacy of others and the confidentiality of festival information. Number 10, have some fun. All right, we'll keep going on here. Hours of operation. You can find these on our resource page, but we'll go through them together. Volunteer check-in. Volunteer check-in is where you are going to get your wristband, your meal voucher, your volunteer t-shirt, and some other fun things in the Welcome Center. So the volunteer check-in opens from 2 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. each day. The Welcome Center, again, mentioned that's also on Volunteer Island in the building with bag check. They will be open from 2 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Free Show Check-in, which is located at the corner of Booth and Vimy. At Free Show Check-in, that is where you'll go if you are a volunteer that is coming to see a free show. Only for the night, you can go to that tent and they'll activate your wristband there. The Free Show Check-in tent is open from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Bike park. The bike park is open from 3:30 to 11:30 p.m. Volunteer admin office, which also includes the lost and found inside of the War Museum. They're open from noon to 11:30 p.m. Gates open at 5 o'clock each day. Food vendors, this is where you'll use your meal voucher, and you can also use that meal voucher at the Welcome Center for sandwiches or on the at the food truck located on Volunteer Island. But food vendors, which are located primarily in the bowl and around the festival site, will open from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. each day. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the map and go through some key points together. So, OC Transpo is offering free rides for Ottawa Bluesfest volunteers and patrons between 2 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. daily. So make sure to show your wristband at one of the OC Transpo tellers that's located at the gate, and they'll let you in with your wristband. There is no on-site parking for volunteers, so please walk, bike, or take public transportation where possible. So let's take a look at the site map for this year. So one key change before we get started for everyone, especially if you're a returning volunteer, our vendors have moved this year. Our vendors have moved to the side of Wellington Street. So as we open the street each night, you'll find them on this end. So for many volunteers, you could arrive at the festival from many different ways. As I mentioned, you can walk, you can bike. But for many of you, especially with OC Transpo being included with your volunteer wristband, you'll probably come from the Pimisi station from OC Transpo, which is located just down Booth in this space here. So you'll walk down this hill. And then once you get to about Wellington and Booth, if you look down to your right, you'll start to see signage about bike parks. So that will point you to where bike park will be this year. And if you keep walking down Booth, so we're walking, you'll find across the water here is our volunteer island. So it's a dedicated volunteer space just for you. And on the volunteer island, there will be volunteer check-in. That's where you get checked in for each one of your shifts. There is the Welcome Center, which has the bag check, some snacks, some games, and lots of fun things outside, as well as the food truck will be located as well on the island here. This is a pedestrian bridge, so there are two ways to enter the island. You can come here down Booth, or there's a bike park here, bike path here, sorry. And along this path, you can see the pedestrian bridge along here, and the volunteer gate connects the site to this pedestrian bridge. Another thing to mention here is the free show check-in tent. So again, if you look at Vimy and Booth at the corner, you can see the free show check-in tent if you're just coming in to see a free show that day. I want to point out the water station, so you can see that we have 3 on the outside of the bowl here, again, next to where the vendors will now be. We have one right at the entrance near the bowl next to first aid tent, info booth is there, as well as one in the museum, the Canadian War Museum here. Next thing to mention is the Canadian War Museum. So this building you'll see on site when you get there. And I wanted to mention the Canadian War Museum because this is actually going to be our muster point in an emergency. If there's a weather emergency, you might hear your area leader refer to the museum or the War Museum. So this is where you'd go. It depends really on where you are during that weather emergency. If you're on Volunteer Island, you can also stay in the volunteer building. That will also be an emergency muster point. So wherever you're closest to is where you'll go. And again, you should look to your supervisors and leaders around because they will be directing you to these places. And they'll also want to check in with you as well. I want to mention the info booth, which is located here in the same place as last year. The info booth is very important for directing volunteers and patrons who may need help, as well as when we speak about our emergency procedures a little later on, there will be mention of the info booth, and that's where you would take missing children or missing people. You would bring them to the info booth. So it's important to know where that is. And it's also located near the first aid tent as well. So you might need to know where that is as well. The last thing I'd like to point out on this map here is the LeBreton stage. So this stage is in the same position as it was last year. It's the stage with the tent. And at the end, we'll speak about our volunteer training, our on-site training, which happens next week. And we will meet at the LeBreton stage next week for that training. So this is where that'll be. And we have our map online as well. So you're able to navigate and have this map with you at all times. Okay, our 2026 Ottawa Bluesfest Emergency Preparedness Plan. Let's take a look. Okay, so we're going to go through the plan together. And again, I'll at the end revise some key points for you to know as well. So, Central Command will be staffed during all operating hours to facilitate communications as directed to respond to any incidents or disruptions. Central Command has a phone number listed here. I suggest you add that phone number to your cell phone. Supervisors will have a radio and they can radio Central Command from channel 1. But if you, a volunteer, find yourself in a position where you need to reach Central Command and you don't see a leader or a supervisor around, having that phone number is very handy. So definitely save that in your cell phone. Prior to or post operating hours, Central Command will not be staffed, and in an emergency situation, call 911 immediately and call your site contact via cell phone. For all of you, your site contact will always be your area leader. So, some coding used in an emergency response. Level black, which means an area-wide incident or event. Level orange, which is a major incident or event. Level yellow, minor and or moderate incident and event. Level green, all clear or resume operations. In the event of an emergency, you will be with your area leaders or you will get an email if perhaps you're on your way to site and your leaders will know which color we are in. So if you don't want to memorize all of this, that's okay. Look to your leadership team. They will direct you and they will let you know what's to come and what the updates are. Missing child or lost person. Individuals reporting lost persons shall remain at their location for 5 minutes with the child to see if the parent or guardian attends the area. If after 5 minutes, if a parent does not arrive after 5 minutes, the child shall be escorted to the info booth, as we saw on the map, where a security team member will assist them in recalling details by obtaining the name, age, description, place last seen, and potential destination. Radio transmission using the code Family Matter will alert security of the situation and provide a description of the lost person. Every attempt to get a photo of the lost person disseminated site-wide will be made. A found child. Immediately upon recognizing a lost child, obtain the name of the lost child and, if possible, the name of the parent/caregiver. If a parent or guardian is reporting a lost child, you should ask for a photo of the child to distribute if possible. Full evacuation. Should an emergency occur while the festival is in full operation, the Bluesfest traffic management plan will be put into place immediately. What that means for volunteers is to look to your area leader. Again, they will be looking to get in touch with you, and they'll be looking as well to make sure you know where you're going and also to get a head count. They're going to want to make sure that you're okay and that you have been communicated with. So please get in touch with them if you're maybe on your way to site or on your way to your shift. But if you're on site and working, look to your supervisor, look to your area leader. They'll direct you when it's time to possibly move into a full evacuation. And then for volunteers who may be working after hours, full evacuation after hours. Should an emergency occur while the Blues Fest is not in operation or when the site is not open to the public, gates to the site will be open to personnel evacuating via the Canadian War Museum. Workers will relocate to the museum to await further instruction. If an emergency occurs before patrons are allowed on site, the site will remain closed to patrons until the site manager, in consultation with the executive/artistic director and the emergency control group, is confident that the grounds and structures are safe and free of abnormal hazards that could adversely affect the health of patrons and staff. If City of Ottawa emergency responders are on site, they will be consulted, but the final decision to open or remain closed rests with the executive/artistic director or the AHJ. Okay, we will head back to the presentation now. So for volunteers, again, speak to your area leader to learn your area-specific emergency preparedness plan. Some of you may have something a little slightly different depending on where your team is located and the type of work you're doing. And that can all be reviewed in your breakout room at the end of this session. Volunteer check-in reminders. Okay, some reminders for volunteer check-in. You must bring your photo ID with you to volunteer check-in before every shift. So whether you are seeing a free show or you are coming to sign in for one of your scheduled shifts, you must bring government-issued photo ID with you. Volunteers aged 15 to 17 must bring their signed parental permission form to sign in for their first shift. You will not be allowed to volunteer without it. If you are a youth volunteer, so you're a volunteer between the ages of 15 and 17, you must bring this parental permission form to your first shift, and you only need it for your first shift. You only need to bring it once, signed by your parents. And the parental permission form can be found on our resources page, and it can be found in your area manual. So ask your leader if you're unsure of how to get that form. Next up here. Volunteer check-in will open on July 9th at 2 p.m. Again, that's where you get your wristband activated, your shirt, your meal voucher, all that fun stuff. You will not be able to pick up your t-shirt or wristband before July 9th. So the first time they open is the first opportunity you'll get to grab that stuff. Note that on July 19th, volunteer check-in will open at 11 a.m. You may have heard that we're doing some free programming the afternoon of July 19th, so we'll be open a little bit early that day. Getting ready for your shift. Always check the weather and come prepared. Ottawa Bluesfest is rain or shine. Sometimes it does get a little rainy on site, so check the weather to see if it might be raining. It could be quite hot as well. And you might want to bring a poncho, an umbrella, or anything that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable when you're volunteering with us. Always wear your volunteer t-shirt while working and change into something else when you're not. So while you're working your volunteer shift, you'll get a volunteer t-shirt, and please wear that shirt and bring it to every single shift you have. You will also get an additional shirt as well. And when you're coming in to see a free show, we ask that you're not wearing your volunteer t-shirt. Please bring a change of clothes, so a different t-shirt or whatever you'd like to wear, even a sweater over your volunteer t-shirt when you're seeing a free show. Please make sure to have your photo ID and parental permission form if applicable. So you'll need your photo ID every single time you're on site, free show, or scheduled shift. For your parental permission form, you'll only need it once for your first shift if you're a youth volunteer. Check in for your shift at Volunteer Check-in located on Volunteer Island. So as mentioned, the first thing you'll do when you get to site, you'll make your way over to Volunteer Island, get your wristband activated, and then once your wristband is activated, you'll make your way over to your team meeting spot, and that's where you'll say hello to your leader or your supervisor so that they know that you made it safely all the way to your team spot. Make sure you check in with your area leader or supervisor at the beginning. There we go. Nice. Alrighty. CHEO Foundation. So this year, again, we're pleased to partner with CHEO to support them into raising a massive fundraising goal. So fundraising has already begun and will continue to accept donations during the festival from July 9th all the way to July 12th. Efforts will ramp up on CHEO Night, which is July 12th, when CHEO President slash CEO and CHEO Kids will join us on stage for a special thank you, followed by a headlining performance by the Lumineers. So, what is the role of us, the volunteers? So, for volunteers, wearing your volunteer button with pride. So, you can see at the bottom there, when you go to volunteer check-in on CHEO Day, July 12th, at volunteer check-in, Welcome Center, or the free show check-in tent, will be distributing CHEO buttons. So, we ask that on July 12th, that you can support this initiative by wearing your CHEO button. Engage with patrons and encourage donations. There'll be many ways to donate on site, so we're looking for help from volunteers to reach out to patrons and encourage those donations. You can see there's also a QR code here, and that will be your button too. Number three, volunteers at the point of sale systems, tablets to ask patrons if they'd like to donate, to add a donation to their transaction. So the POS systems, if you're working at some of our beer tents, our bars, if you're working at our merch tents, places like that, when you have a tablet and you process a sale, all of those tablets will have an option to add a donation. So if you are a cashier on one of those days, we hope that you can help us encourage those donations. Some reminders going into this year's festival. Number one, the museum group entrance bathroom is for on-shift volunteers only. If you're attending a free show, please use the porta potties on site, or you can also use the patron bathroom inside of the museum. That patron bathroom is accessible through the entrance near the Hard Rock stage, or you can go through the front of the museum and make your way around to the patron bathroom as well. Number two, there will be a bag check. There will be security guards checking bags at all of the festival gates, and there will also be metal detectors there. Factor this time into getting to your shift. If there's something you don't want to bring into the festival, you don't want to be checked, who knows what it is, you can leave that at the bag check at Welcome Center. So make sure to take a look through what you're bringing. On our Ottawa Bluesfest website is a list of all of the things you can and can't bring into our site. So please take a look at that when packing your bag for the day. And if you want to have something on site but not on festival grounds after where the security will check it, again, please go ahead and leave that in your bag at the Welcome Center. Number three, there will be no bikes or scooters allowed through the gates, though Bike Park may make accommodations for on-shift volunteers if you speak with them directly. Ooh, okay. Our on-site training. So we are gearing up for our on-site training, which will be an opportunity for you to see the site, meet your area leaders, and get some important training in your area. This on-site training will happen this coming Wednesday, so July 8th at 6 p.m., and we'll meet on site at the LeBreton stage. So we'll meet at the LeBreton stage, and it's the stage with the tent, the same one as last year. And we'll start in a big group there before going off in your teams. Okay, now I would like to welcome Julie Lalonde for our bystander awareness training this year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. So I'm just gonna get the slides put up. Doo-doo-doo. Awesome. Okay, so I am here to talk to you about bystander intervention, both because you might be seeing stuff and needing to intervene, but also because you are going to be the person that people are looking to. And so we're going to make sure that you have everything that you need in order to be able to respond to those requests. So you're going to see as I walk you through, is it a black screen? Is it not showing it? Can you see the slides, Kenna?
Night.
No.
I see a gray
Yeah, I just realized I'm like do
screen.
to do, and then I went to show it. I'm like to look at meeting, and it's showing it as a gray box. So let me just try
Hmm.
again.
Yeah.
Did it earlier, and we were good to go. Sorry about that, folks. So yeah, so basically, I'm going to teach you what we call the 5 Ds of bystander intervention. Because if you volunteered before, you know when you're in big crowds of folks, there are sometimes some shenanigans that go down. And so we want to be able to de-escalate essentially. And I'm gonna, is that better? Oh my gosh, that's profoundly weird. Okay, and when I had it, like y'all know, we tested it earlier. So let me just try. If I don't put it full screen, will that somehow make it better? It keeps saying my internet that your bandwidth is not high enough, which is bananas.
You could also send it to me too, Julie, and I can see if I can present it. That might work.
Okay, do you see it now?
I see it.
Okay, but when I make it full screen, it goes away and goes black?
We see it now. It's working.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Sorry, everyone. We literally tested this before we started, I swear. So, again, keeping your camera, or you can keep your cameras on if you like, but keeping yourself unmuted. I would like you to hop in the chat. I'm gonna have it start off with a little pop quiz, make it a little interactive for you. So I want you to hop in the chat and tell me what percentage of people say that a bystander intervening actually improved the situation? So I'm getting sexually harassed, someone's being creepy and awful to me, you see that happen, you step in to help me. What percentage of the time do you think that actually makes things better? Do you think it's 15%, 87, 45, or 62% of the time? What are we thinking? Okay, bit of a mix. All right, folks had different feelings. So some people think it's as low as 15, and I get it. But the good news is it's 87%. So 87% of the time, even without proper training, you just choosing to step in and be like, hey, are you good? Will actually make the situation better. The problem is only 25% of the time is this happening. And these are stats, recent stats from Canada, here in Canada. So we know that intervention makes a difference. The obstacle is people actually feeling like they can do it. So I work with an organization called Right to Be. We used to be called Hollaback. So some of you might be familiar. We did lots of work with OC Transpo to try to make public transit safer. And so we are now around the world, and the headquarters is actually in New York. And we've since rebranded to Right to Be. And so we work to teach people bystander intervention specifically in public spaces. So that's what's called street harassment, which is also known as kind of sexual harassment in public spaces. So people getting groped, people being followed, people being catcalled, people being like upskirted photos, people standing, if you've ever been on public transit where there's like 30 other seats and all of a sudden that person just has to be stuck beside like the young woman that's on the bus, all of that stuff, which unfortunately we know does also happen in festival spaces in Ottawa. The Ottawa Hospital released a report a few years ago showing that all mass gatherings in the city, from Canada Day to Jazz Fest to Blue, like all of these spaces, when there's escapade, like when there's lots of folks, there's alcohol. Some people treat it as an opportunity to do whatever they want because they think there's so many people here, no one's going to catch me. And so we want to make sure that people feel safe. Like I love going to music festivals. I don't love the heat, but I will endure it for a really, really good concert. And you know, everybody is paying to go and have a really positive experience. And it doesn't mean people can't get a little drunk, doesn't mean people can't, you know, have a good time, but it means everybody should be allowed to have a good time. And so we need to be able to equip people to step in. So as I said, when we're talking about street harassment, we're talking about everything from, yeah, the like catcalling comments, the groping, the rubbing up against somebody, like dragging somebody somewhere they don't want to go, taking advantage of the fact that someone is very intoxicated, and doesn't really know what's going on. These are unfortunately things that we see. And in working with OC Transpo, they see that it's not just happening on festival grounds, it's also happening in those crammed OC Transpo buses at the end of the night or on the crammed train at the end of the night. So we just got to look out for each other. What's exciting about this year, and shout out to the Bluesfest folks, is I'm actually going to be on stage at the RBC and the Hard Rock stage a couple times on opening weekend to actually teach people attending the festival what these skills are, which is awesome, but it means that they really are going to be looking to you as volunteers and as folks working for Bluesfest to help them if they see something and they don't know what to do. So I want you to be aware. So if you spot it yourself, you can intervene, but also if someone comes to you and was like, hey, I was told to delegate, and you're like, I know exactly what you're talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through what we call the 5 Ds of bystander intervention. Again, we tested this earlier, but please feel free to just interrupt me, Kiana, if you can't hear the videos. But I'm going to start off, there's no sort of particular order to it. So we have first, in no order, and I cannot emphasize this enough, it's not a hierarchy. It's really, we choose the tool that makes sense for the circumstances. So very quickly, before I show you videos, I want to teach you distract. Okay, so hoping it doesn't freeze my screen, I'm going to open the chat and I would like folks to tell me what just happened. Because it was made to be like real subtle, right? What happened? What did that woman do? Yeah, so she just was like, oh, my bad. I dropped my notebook. And in doing so, she kind of created a little bit of distance between the person harassing her and the woman who was getting harassed, right? And she just made it seem supernatural, like, oh, my bad. Whoops, look at me. And then just happened to be creating distance between the two of them, right? Really, really organic. This is actually one of the most effective ways to de-escalate a situation is to basically come off as someone who cannot read a room, who doesn't know anything awkward is even happening. And there's 2 main ways you can do that. One, you can be chatty. So you can go up to the person who's been harassed. That is generally the safest way, is to go up to that person and be like, hey, oh my God, I'm so excited. Like Cypress Hill is coming up next. Is that who you're here to see? Like, and just chat that person up. And then it gives them an excuse to chat with you and get away from the person who's being awful. You can also ask them a question, right? If you're on public transit, you're like, hey, I'm trying to get off at like Parliament Station. Did I miss that? Am I good? Like, you're just coming across as someone who's oblivious that there's any harassment happening, and you're just chit-chatting with them to allow them to focus on you and get away from the person. You can also do it by being clumsy, right? So in this moment, it was like, oh my goodness, I just stumbled. So you can stumble, you can trip, you can spill something, you kind of do whatever you can with the goal of breaking the contact between the person who's harassing them and the target, so that there's that split second where they can just either help you, like, oh my God, are you okay? Or just be like, now that everyone's looking at you, I'm going to dip and just get away from this person that's being awful. So that is an incredibly effective form of de-escalation that, yes, in the context of what we're talking about today is things like sexual harassment. But if someone's just being drunk and belligerent, they're being racist, they're just being obnoxious, like same thing, go up to the other person and be like, hey, what's going on? If you've ever gone to the club and pretended to be BFFs with a woman you've never met before, you just use one of the most effective forms of de-escalation in the game. So congratulations, keep it up. Now let's look at some of the other tools.
There's a man touching a woman at the back of the bus, and I don't know what to do. Can you help?
All right, so you're on public transit, you tell the driver. You're at a coffee shop, you tell the barista. You're at the festival, you find security, you find a staff person, you find your supervisor. This is where you're gonna have people coming up to you in your volunteer t-shirts, and that's why it's so important that you wear your t-shirt, but only when you are in that role, because people are going to look to you as a leader to help them solve a situation. And that again could be, I think my friend is having an overdose, to like, look at the weather yesterday, right? Like someone has heat stroke, my friend's throwing up, I don't know what's going on. Like, they're going to turn to you as someone in that volunteer t-shirt, and you need to be able to help them. So we're delegating to whoever is in charge in that particular moment. And sometimes it's you. But other times, if you're yourself are just out and about, look to whoever's in charge and say like, hey, you might not have had eyes on this, but like something's going on over here and I need you to help, whether that's de-escalate, escalate it to calling police or security, like whatever the vibe is, you clock it, you don't know what to do, you delegate to someone who does. Okay, let us look at some of our other tools. All right, so what you see here is that she's taken out her phone and started recording. What you do not see is that she's asked someone else to go and tell the driver. So this is not just a matter of capture some footage. Ideally, you're going to do it in tandem with something else. And that could be a video, a photograph, writing down a license plate number, writing down a description of the person, whatever you can kind of capture, documenting that in some way. The goal here is not to start streaming live. It is not to be one of the many obnoxious people on the internet who just is like live streaming or posting a clip of something heinous, but doing nothing else. The point here is that you capture enough to figure out what's going on and a description of the person who's being awful, and then you give it to the person who is being targeted so that she can decide what she wants to do with that information. And you're doing that check-in of like, hey, I saw this. If this is helpful, I wrote down the license plate number, or like they were wearing like a blue hoodie and a black hat and whatever, kind of giving them as much information as you can so that they can decide if they want to go and report it, if they want to go and share it with somebody. You're giving them as much information as you can. So if you're just like out in these streets, just a hot tip. One, it's perfectly legal to film in public spaces in Ottawa, especially if you're filming a crime in progress. And that does include OC Transpo. We have explicit confirmation from them that if you are witnessing violence on public transit, even though the sign says you can't take photos, you absolutely can in circumstances like that. If you're out in public and it's not contained, then yeah, pull back a little bit. If you can film a street sign, a landmark, if you can see the date and time out loud to kind of like timestamp the video. And then again, you are immediately giving that to the person who's been harmed, saying, so sorry that happened. Here, if this is helpful, this is what I captured. Okay, just a couple more tools in our toolbox.
Are you okay? Want me to hang around for a bit so he doesn't come back?
So the beauty of delay is twofold. One, sometimes what happens super quickly, and then boom, the person who was being awful just kind of disappears into the crowd, and then you think like, oh damn, what am I supposed to do now? I can turn to the person who was the victim of that and be like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, what is wrong with people? Do you want me to walk with you somewhere? Do you need to borrow my phone? Like, do you want to call somebody? Like, how can I help? But it's also helpful in those second moments, which is when something happens that's really intense and feels like you're kind of in the shock, almost like a freeze response of like, holy smokes, what just happened? And then by the time you clock, like, oh my God, I should do something, the moment's passed. And that's when oftentimes people are like, oh man, I didn't do anything. You can still go up to the person afterwards and say, I saw that. Are you okay? I am so sorry that happened. How can I be helpful? I can tell you with precise details, the time someone has done this for me, I cannot tell you how many times I've been harassed in public spaces. It's in the hundreds, if not thousands. But I vividly remember the times that someone saw it and was like, oh my God, girl, are you okay? What is wrong with people? It sticks with you because you realize, hey, someone is looking out for me. I shouldn't stand here feeling humiliated because I should be embarrassed. That person should be embarrassed. Like, what the heck is wrong with them, right? So keep delay in mind for the moments that feel too intense or that are super quick. It still takes 2 seconds to check in on someone afterwards, and it does not put you in harm's way. So the last thing I want to teach you before I let you back to learning about your broader Bluesfest volunteer responsibilities is when you do want to intervene directly, how to do it without escalating. So I'm going to show you a video, and then I'm going to pause it, and I'm hoping you can hop in the chat and tell me, what do we want our bystander to do next? Because direct intervention is 2 steps. So I'm going to show you step 1 and then tell me what you think step 2 is.
Hey, I like your jacket. Where'd you get it?
Could you leave me alone? You're being totally inappropriated right now.
All right, friends, what are we doing next? So 1, we called it out. We're like, no, she said no, she's not into it. Not okay. That's step 1. What do we want him to do next? Help her to leave. Bingo. Bingo. This is where people forget. And they think the point is to stand here and yell at this clown until it clocks that he's being inappropriate. That's not going to happen, especially if you're a stranger. He's not going to respect you. He's just going to up the ante. But if you do a quick, hey, she's not interested, move it along, and you're like, hey, do you want to come walk with me and my friends? And we leave together, then you have de-escalated the situation. The idea that I just have to yell louder than the person being awful is how things escalate and pop off. So it might feel like it's like the most like bravado thing to do, but it actually backfires in a big bad way. So if you see it, it's unequivocal, it's not okay, that person's really not okay, you go up to the other person and say, enough, leave them alone, and then you get the other person and you're like, hey, let's go over here to security. Especially if you have your Bluesfest volunteer t-shirt on, your very presence is an authority that will help that person trust you to say, hey, I can leave with this person and they're going to help me get away from here. So distract, delegate, document, delay, and direct. These are the 5 ways in which we can intervene. And as I said, we'll be messaging that participants at Bluesfest will also be receiving as well. So be on the lookout for those messages, but also know that patrons are going to be aware of it and they're going to turn to you. And so I hope you can answer that call for them when they are in crisis or needs an ally of some sort in that space. Thanks so much, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful festival. I might run into some of you on opening weekend when I'm there. But again, a huge thanks to the Bluesfest crew for taking everyone's safety seriously and inviting us to come along. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Julie. We are very excited to have you on site this year as well. All right, everyone, we're going to move into our breakout room session. So I'm going to put the breakout rooms on the screen here, and we're going to open them up soon. You'll be able to go into your own breakout room, but if you need help, you can put your team name in the chat, and we will put you in your breakout room. So here are all the breakout rooms. You should see them now, and the rooms look like they're open, so you can go ahead and enter them. Again, if you need help, put your team in the chat, and we'll slot you in there. Once you're done from the breakout rooms, you can leave. That's it. Bye, guys. See you on site. Thanks so much.